So when we talk about rules, just to preface something before we go into how to make really what we think are really good rules, is a couple of important concepts like one shoe doesn't fit all. There's got to be some flexibility when you're creating rules. Every student is different, and every student has different needs. The second thing is that when we're dealing with rules, it's like the basic structure. And rules need to be simple and they have to make sense. The fewer rules that you have, the better it is. It's better to understand. And I mean, psychologically, just chunking things down to 3s and 4s are an easier way to retain information. Just to give you an example that happened to me when I first started teaching in my first year, and I'll never forget it, and it really turned my head around about rulemaking and how you approach students in your classroom. When I first started teaching way back when, it was that whole idea of that you have to be very strict and as a disciplinarian, you know, if you didn't do what I told you to do, you were in a lot of trouble. And it didn't take me 2 seconds to think, all right, you don't want to listen to me? You're suspended. It was as simple as that. And they also told you way back then not to smile in the classroom, which I would recommend you smile all the time. So this particular incident, I set up my rules for this was on the first day of school, set up my rules, and I, would sort of be slamming the desk, you really better follow my rules. I'm not going to put up with anything from anybody in this classroom. So I set up my rules, and one of the rules was you had to be in the class on time. I mean, if you weren't there on time, you would stay after school. That was the first one. The second was a call home to the parent. So the second day of school came, and everybody's in class except 2 students. So I say to myself, all right, if these 2 students come in, it's done. All right, they're going to get it from me because I need to set an example for everyone. So lo and behold, the 2 students come by the door, and the first student to come into the classroom, I hardly looked at him, and I just looked, and I started screaming at the top of my lungs, "Why are you late? Stop. Why are you late? You had to be here at a certain time. You're not here." And I carried on. I said, "Get to your seats, both of you, right now." Right? So they slowly, and I went faster, slowly sat down, and the one student came up to me and whispered in my ear. The student that was leading was blind. I had no idea. So that taught me a lesson. You can make rules. They can be logical. They could be fair. But you really need to know your students thoroughly, starting from the first day. And that's why we're showing you so much about relationship, so much about breaking the ice with your students. I mean, it can happen that fast, but it taught me a real good lesson.